For a staggering expanse of 10 millennia, the Imperium of Man has languished, slowly fading in the looming presence of the Great Crusade. This colossal undertaking, a monumental campaign, ascended to the realms of fable and legend. The Great Crusade epitomized a fleeting yet golden era in human history, a time when the Emperor of Mankind himself raised a blazing sword, like a beacon piercing the impenetrable darkness of the old night. Wherever his mighty fleets and indomitable armies achieved victory, they breathed life anew into the embers of civilization. They undertook the grand task of resurrecting marvels of old, mending the fractured star systems and sectors, and ushering a new era of technology and science. Humanity, ensnared in the depths of its own ignorance, was gradually drawn back by this luminous beacon of hope. However, the inception of the Horus heresy would serve to dismantle everything the Emperor had once aspired to accomplish. This heretical rebellion would signal the conclusion of the Great Crusade. But some would argue that the Great Crusade never truly ended. Even in this somber and tumultuous age, where the Imperium had deteriorated, fleets and legions still traversed the galaxy in the name of the Crusade. But they no longer bear the mantle of technological prowess or the torch of scientific enlightenment, nor do they embody the pledge of progress and comprehension. Now, the Great Crusade brings naught but death and retribution, for it is no longer the Emperor at its helm, but rather his most zealous, vindictive, and vengeful sons, the Black Templars. Much like numerous other factions that currently constitute the vast Imperium of Man, the genesis of the Black Templars can be traced back to a pervasive possibility of a second civil war. These transhuman space marine legions, enshrined as the indomitable Astartes, stood as the Emperor's mightiest forces, without whom the Great Crusade would have failed. Yet when corrupted by the Chaos Gods, these legions also became humanity's greatest threat. To prevent the recurrence of the Horus heresy catastrophe throughout the Imperium, Primarch Robute Guilliman advocated for a comprehensive restructuring of the Space Marine legions. His vision entailed the creation of significantly smaller chapters, each limited to no more than 1,000 Space Marines. He meticulously chronicled his doctrine of military organization within a sacred tome that would eventually come to be renowned as the Codex Astartes. Guilliman's surviving loyal brothers, each commanding a legion of their own, found themselves divided by his proposition. Among the dissenting voices, none resonated more vehemently than that of Rogel Dorn, the Primarch of the Imperial Fists Legion. It was only when Dorn discerned that his unwavering ideology could trigger the very internal strife that Guilliman sought to prevent that he ultimately gave in to the reorganization. Thus, during the second founding, a transformative division occurred within the Imperial Fists, giving birth to numerous distinct chapters, one of which emerged as the Black Templars. Despite Rogel Dorn's intent to maintain the unity of his legion, the establishment of the Black Templars effectively granted autonomy to a separate force that had already been a latent presence within the Imperial Fists. Even before the cataclysmic Horus heresy thrust the galaxy into turmoil, a singular figure had already begun to shine amidst the ranks of the Imperial Fists. Sigismund, the formidable first captain of the Legion, had forged a reputation as a warrior of unparalleled lethality and extraordinary prowess. His martial skills were akin to a force of nature, a rare genius for meting out death to those who dared threaten humanity. In his relentless pursuit of victory, only the godlike Primarchs could surpass his almost supernatural mastery. During the dramatic Siege of Terra, an extraordinary transformation unfolded for Sigismund, one that would etch his name into imperial legends. He ascended to the esteemed title of Emperor's Champion, a role of unparalleled honor. His once proud Imperial Fists armor, a symbol of unwavering loyalty, underwent a striking metamorphosis. Painted over with an ominous shade of black, it became a profound emblem, signifying that Sigismund embodied the very essence of the Emperor himself. But it was not just the alteration of his appearance that set Sigismund apart. He exuded an intensity of purpose that radiated like a beacon in the darkest of times. His zealousness and unwavering fanaticism possessed an uncanny allure, drawing kindred spirits to rally under his banner. When the pivotal moment arrived to anoint a chapter master for the newborn Black Templars, the choice was clear. Sigismund, with his indomitable spirit, emerged as the natural leader. Among his first recruits were those who shared his unshakable zeal and unyielding resolve. Many hailed from the esteemed ranks of the Templar Brethren, an elite corps within the Imperial Fists entrusted with safeguarding the revered Temple of Oaths. As they embraced the obsidian armor that had become synonymous with Sigismund, it is believed that the very name of the entire chapter found its origin in this select group. At the command of their leader, the Black Templars embarked on a continued crusade that carried them deep into the uncharted expanses of the cosmos, far removed from the watchful gaze of Guilliman and the Imperium's central authority. Their voyage led them on an epic odyssey into the very heart of enemy territory, a daring quest that has spanned an astounding 10,000 years, etching it as the longest and most enduring space marine crusade ever recorded in the Imperium's storied history. Over the eons, the Black Templars have traversed an increasingly divergent path from the Codex Astartes, evolving into an entity that has become nearly unrecognizable when compared to Guilliman's initial vision. While certain disparities may appear superficial, such as the adoption of distinct titles and ranks, others have wrought profound changes that have reshaped the very essence of the chapter. It is conceivable that no other chapter has ventured as far from the guiding principles of the Codex Astartes as the enigmatic Black Templars. One of the most remarkable aspects that sets the Black Templars apart is their deliberate absence of a traditional chapter homeworld. Instead, they have chosen to embrace a nomadic existence, finding their home among the stars as they sail through the cosmos aboard their mighty crusading fleets. The only semblance of permanence in their transient lifestyle can be found in a network of strongholds and outposts strategically established on worlds they have conquered along their epic journey. These strongholds serve dual purposes, as vital centers for recruiting and nurturing aspirant battle brothers, and as crucial logistical hubs that sustain the operations of their ever-mobile forces. Yet, even these seemingly steadfast bastions of the Templars' power are subject to the ebb and flow of their relentless crusade. Depending on the shifting tides of their grand quest, these keeps may be abandoned to the winds of time or boldly reclaimed later. Nestled within the Eternal Crusader, one of a mere 20 vessels crafted during the Great Crusade, lies the true sanctum of the Black Templars, a vessel now revered as their chapter flagship. Herein, a treasury of sacred relics, chapels of solemn devotion and hallowed spaces find their dwelling, fashioning it into an unofficial citadel and spiritual fortress for the chapter. It is rumored that the Black Templars boast an extraordinary abundance of Astartes, far surpassing not only Guilliman's mandated limit of 1,000 warriors, but even rivaling the legions of ancient renown. If substantiated, this revelation would cast the Black Templars as the most formidable space marine force within the Imperium, eclipsing all others by an immense margin. The precise number of their ranks remains hidden, an intentional shroud cast by their deliberate dispersal across numerous crusading fleets. Rarely does the entirety of the chapter convene, their strength instead dispersed among several legions. Each fleet falls under the command of a marshal and several fighting companies, commanded by vigilant castellans, their presence a steady bulwark against the encroaching void. Some stand as but a dozen battle brothers, while others swell to numbers surpassing 100. In a tradition steeped in bonds of camaraderie and honor, individual Astartes rarely find themselves assigned to a company by decree of a superior. Instead, they carve their path based on the forge of shared honor, a reflection of the organic unity that binds them in purpose and spirit. Each choice, a testament to the unbreakable bonds that define the Black Templars. The other specialists of the Black Templars, like apothecaries and chaplains, possess a remarkable degree of independence, bestowed with the liberty to move fluidly between formations at their own discretion. Yet, Beyond the Astartes themselves, the company ranks are bolstered by a multitude of non-combat personnel, a legion dedicated to providing the essential material, expertise, and auxiliary support that sustains the operational prowess of the crusading fleets. At the tactical level, the Black Templars shun the rigid tenets of the Codex Astartes, favoring instead the formation of nimble ad hoc units. This tactical flexibility permeates the very essence of their strategies, allowing for a responsive and adaptable approach to warfare. A striking embodiment of this philosophy is found in the Crusader Squad, a distinctive amalgamation of battle-hardened Astartes veterans and fresh-faced recruits. Serving as the backbone of the chapter's military forces, these squads are led by the esteemed Sword Brethren, elites of martial prowess dispersed among the various squads, rather than grouped together as prescribed by the Codex Astartes. In contrast to the conventional practice of rotating through different companies to glean varied warfare methodologies, the Black Templars foster a culture of self-discovery and personal evolution. Many of these warriors traverse decades or even centuries without progression in rank, a badge of honor rather than a mark of stagnation. Their journey from fledgling aspirant to the exalted mantle of fleet marshal is believed to be a path guided solely by the divine hand of the Emperor. The honored title of High Marshal signifies them as the supreme commander of the Black Templars, a figurehead to whom all other marshals pledge their undying allegiance. They wield a level of autonomy that eclipses many other military commanders across the vast expanse of the Imperium of Man. With a sovereign prerogative, he dictates the when and where of engagements with the enemy, a power that emanates from the depths of his own strategic vision. Such is the autonomy of the High Marshal, that even figures of considerable authority, be they imperial governors, lord commanders of the Astra Militarum, or fellow Astartes, might find their pleas unanswered should their cause be deemed tainted or unworthy in the eyes of the Black Templars. However, amid this uncompromising stance, a singular exception arises, illuminating a core divergence within the chapter's creed. A unique accommodation is extended to the ecclesiarchy, hinting at a grim departure in their values and loyalties. This exception, a rare concession within their resolute code, serves as a testament to the underlying principles that set the Black Templars apart in their indomitable pursuit of righteousness and faith. The Black Templars stand out for their wholehearted acceptance of the imperial cult's literal doctrine. They regard the Emperor of Man not merely as a mortal leader, but as a god worthy of reverence, demanding sacrifices on the battlefield. Foremost among their conviction of faith are the devotion chains, potent symbols born into the crucible of combat. As the eve of conflict descends, Black Templars bind their weapons to their very fists, a bond unbroken until triumph is seized. Yet, there exists a tier of unyielding zealots, distinguished by chains of zeal, which bind them to their weapons for all time, removed only in the final embrace of death. This unwavering creed, this unshakable religious fervor, courses through every sinew and fiber of the chapter. In fact, they can be known for their propensity for extreme brutality and morally repugnant offerings, regardless of the scale of the carnage they inflict or the repercussions of their intolerance. If it is carried out in the name of the Emperor, it is deemed justifiable. They are so deeply committed to their devotion to the Emperor that they've staunchly resisted the transition into a more superior breed of soldiers called the Primaris Marines. They see it as blasphemy against the original vision of the Emperor. In fact, there are rumors that the first Primaris Marines sent to reinforce the chapter was slaughtered, which did little to ease the tensions between the Black Templars and the Imperium they serve. With their legacy, the Black Templars have left a trail of obliterated alien races, shattered empires among the stars, and relentlessly pursued imperial worlds, tainted by even the faintest whisper of corruption. Over the span of 10 millennia, they played pivotal roles in the Great Scouring following the Horus Heresy. They stood resolute against the formidable Black Crusades led by Abaddon the Despoiler and the colossal Wogs of the Greenskins. Through the eons, They have wielded fire against the encroaching darkness and brought faith upon the unenlightened. This concludes today's chapter from the archives. Please like and subscribe if you want more. Leave a comment on which chapter we should reveal from the archives next.